Hi YouTube, welcome back. Another unboxing video by Sebastian. Today we're going to do the Aiper Scuba S1 pool vacuum. This is the second model that I'm taking a look at. I've used the model that I purchased just under a month ago, which was the Seagull Pro. I'm hoping to unbox this model, bring the Seagull out. We can take a look at the differences between the design and so on. Really excited to get my hands on this one. You'll see why in a few moments. But let's unbox it and see what's happening. So just a little bit of background behind this. Had a pool cleaner vacuum for a long time, and just finally died out on me. It was a Pentair model. I haven't brought it into the studio yet, but yeah, it's a corded model, and it's got some issues with it. And so now we've explored going with a cordless model, which, like I had mentioned earlier, we had the Seagull one. We've already tested it out, purchased from Amazon, already kind of left a review on that there, which I will be updating once this is all done. And this was, I guess, a lot of discussion with customer service about what vacuum is going to be better for me, and so they suggested this one. And so we've got this one, and like I said, I'll do some comparison for you. And show you the differences. Alright, so this is the box it came in. Brown box, very plain, straight from Amazon. Very well packed. I like to comment on the packaging. Very well packed, very well put together. I printed out some stats for us so that we can compare the two vacuums as well. It's really tight in the box, the way they packed, so I'm going to have to be very careful in getting it out because there's not much room to get your fingers in. And you'll see their box is in blue, it's inside. So I'm going to carefully turn it upside down like a cake and hopefully carefully let it slide out without the flaps in the way. Alright, here we go. So that's one box. It's like Christmas. Alright, cool. It's upside down. I'm going to flip it back on its proper side and voila. So Aiper, bring vacation home. So this is the Aiper Scuba S1, like I mentioned. There's one model above this one, which is the Scuba Pro. It's quite a bit more expensive. I think about 25% more expensive. I've been assured by Aiper that this one's going to work for me. We'll go into a little bit of detail on why I was having some trouble with their other product, okay? But they say this one's going to work. Looks good. Going to open it up for a second time and see how it is all packaged. So brand new Scuba from Aiper. One of the questions I get a lot of the times is, does the company pay me to do these unboxings? No. There is no payment whatsoever. This is something I truly needed. Not an Amazon Vine thing, nothing like that. It is a vacuum that I needed to replace. And I didn't want to spend $2,000 on the main name brand ones, and so I've done a lot of research. Aiper has been some really good reviews on it. Anyway, it comes with this little card, some phone numbers here for customer service, which we'll talk about later. It's incredible, but we'll talk a little bit more about it after. Alright, so that's that. There's another cover. Look at that. Fancy. Very nice packaging. Drop that in the box. Okay, so there are some instructions in here. A lot of questions, and I'm going to try my best to answer them, but there's a lot of questions. A lot of people ask, how do you get the vacuum out of the pool if it's cordless? The corded one, you just kind of pull on the cord, and that's probably why mine broke. But this box here, same as the Seagull Pro, they give you a hook inside. Okay, so what happens is when the vacuum is done cleaning the pool, it's going to park itself along the wall, and from there, you're going to attach the hook to your pole that you have for your pool, and you just simply hook it and slowly pull it out of the water. It'll drain itself. We'll talk about draining in a minute, but it drains itself, and you pull it out of the pool, clean the basket, and charge it back up. Okay, so in this first little box, what we have here is, like I said, the hook. It's this one's blue in color. I think the Seagull Pro came with a white one, if my memory serves me correctly. That's the hook and the power adapter. Power adapter is a little bit different than the Seagull Pro, and we'll take a look at that when we compare it. But just wanted to draw that to your attention. All right, so that's that. Now what we're going to do here is take the next layer of protective covering there and take it out. Now, I'm going to pull it out. There's a bag with the vacuum in it. I'm going to pull it out. It's I can tell you right now, it's not as heavy as the Seagull Pro, which I kind of assumed because it didn't seem as big as the Seagull Pro. And that could just be my imagination, but we're going to know because I'm going to put them side by side. So it's wrapped in this plastic. I'm moving the box out of the way. You can see there's tons of packaging. But before I take off this plastic and unveil this beauty, there is a warning on the actual bag itself. Okay, so now the bag says all these devices are tested underwater before leaving the factory. This is very important because people will get these units and there's going to be some water, or there could be some water in them, on them, around them, whatever. People think they're used. They're not. They're tested. So it's very important to understand that. Don't just bypass this label. It's very, very important to know that, yes, they are tested before they're sent out. Okay, now for the reveal. We'll get this plastic all sorted out. And voila. We have ourselves the Scuba S1. All right. Now, not as heavy or as big as the Seagull. Okay. However, that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it has to be big to be powerful. The secret to this is the basket. See, look at that. That is the basket that they provide. This thing will get full of debris. I'm hoping, and we'll talk more about it, I'm hoping it's going to come and full of sand, because what I have at my pool is I have interlocking stone and we get a lot of sand that lands in the pool and it sits to the bottom. So I'm hoping that this vacuum will be able to suck up that sand and do a good job of it. So that's your basket. It's pretty straightforward. What you do is you just take it out, open it like I just did with the button, spray it with the hose from the back, and it's going to drop all the debris wherever you want it to go. Okay, very, very nice design, very simple. I'll lift it for you to see. Very nice, compact design. Okay? Alright, so that's that. I'm going to put the basket back in. Everything about these units exudes quality. These things are so well built, and I know that because I've been using the Seagull for some time. Very impressed. For the price point that you're getting these at, I mean, it's incredible. I don't know anything about the battery life as yet. Okay, so that's always another common question. You know, how long is the battery going to last? Are the batteries replaceable and such? Because Aiper is just fairly new to the market, they've said that it could be replaced. They just haven't given us much information on what that would cost or you know, how to do it and install it and so on. I'm assuming as these things become extremely popular because of the price point and the quality of build, I'm assuming before you know it, you're going to have all kinds of third-party companies designing batteries for these things so that they'll last longer. All right, I'm going to close the lid. There's a protective plastic layer which I'm going to peel off because I do plan on using this after I charge it. You have to give it a full charge. I usually like to do it overnight, charge it overnight, get the battery full up and ready to go. On that topic of how do you charge this bad boy? Well, different than the Seagull, the charging port is back here and it's a different type of connection altogether. Like I said, in a little while I'm going to pull the Seagull out and we're going to compare it, but I can tell you right now that these connections are different. If by chance you owned one of each, you couldn't use the same power adapter, which is unfortunate. Alright, the other thing I want to point to you, the button to start this is right at the front, and this is different than the Seagull Pro as well. We'll get into detail in a bit. Right here, this is the impeller. This is what the water comes through the bottom, pushes through the top. You have to make sure this is always clear of debris. I learned that lesson the hard way on the Pentair models. Yeah, so that's what that looks like there. Now underneath, we've got the brush itself, kind of like a Roomba. If you're familiar with Roomba vacuums, you got the brush and then it sweeps everything into the suction. Now, I noticed on the Seagull Pro, and we don't know this yet on the Scuba, the suction is absolutely incredible. I mean, impressive for a battery-powered unit. They are what they consider brushless motors, kind of like all the high-end, I shouldn't say high-end, but all the more recent power tools. Most of them are brushless if you spend some good money on it. It's like Milwaukee products or some of the Ryobi products. All right, so I'm gonna just peel this plastic off again. this last piece of plastic. I think that should be it. Let's throw that in there. All right, so this looks phenomenal. Like I said, sleek, compact. I like the one button touch. We'll talk about that in a bit. So after all the discussion and all the back and forth with Aiper, the one thing that we were really excited about on this product was the track system. Okay, this is the track system here. What's important to know is that, and you'll see it on the Seagull, was like a four-wheel drive situation, completely different design, and I'll explain to you why this is super important for me and my needs. Okay, so yeah, that's what it looks like. This video is not going to show a test in the water because I have to charge it, and I really want to get that done. When I get a chance to just kind of record its processes, I will definitely do that. But as it stands right now, we just wanted to show you what it looks like out of box. And what we'll do is I'll quickly pause the video in a second, and then I'll pull out the Seagull and we can compare the two by design.
Yeah.
All right, as promised, just before we cut, I promised you that I would show you the difference between the Seagull Pro as well as the Scuba Scuba S1. So what's important to recognize right away, and I've already mentioned it, the wheel systems, right? The wheel systems here, these are more like a Polaris setup. This is what you're most commonly seeing on a Polaris system. And for the most part, these things work phenomenal. These are great. It's four-wheel drive, climbs the walls, everything's fantastic. This model here of the Seagull Pro, it's got a dial system. So whereas the Scuba S1 has just a push button, this one has a dial. Now I've got some gripes about the dial itself. The dial, the indicator of what you've selected, the line on the dial is just not, you can't see it well enough. Okay, and so that's one of my gripes about that. The other thing I can tell you about the Seagull Pro versus the Scuba, it's got two impellers that blow water through to give it its power to drop it to the bottom of the pool, and so on and so forth. The Seagull Pro is a lot heavier than the Scuba. I can tell you right now, just by lifting it, much heavier. I don't know if that's because the battery's bigger or because it's physically bigger, whatever it may be. It's just a bigger, heavier, bulkier unit. The Seagull Pro is kind of neat because it's got this carbon fiber at the back of it, which I kind of liked when I saw it. I was like, wow, that's pretty rich. However, basket for the Seagull, or sort of the Scuba, in the middle. Weight distribution is nice right here. Easy to access. Lid, easy to close. One of the things about the Seagull Pro that I didn't like was it was a rear basket, that's not the issue. That's fine. Basket's a bit different. You'll see it's wet because I've been using it. But what I didn't like about the basket and cover was the cover doesn't close properly all the time. And I'm always worried that it's not going to be closed and I'm going to throw it in the pool. And next thing I know, the lid's going to be flopping up. And even now, I'm struggling to close it. So, if any advice to the company, if you're going to keep the Seagull product line, Aiper, you got to do something about this latch. Okay, I'm not a big fan. Okay. All right. So that's that. The bottom of the Seagull, you'll see it similar. Because the basket's in the back, the suction and area is in the back. So these little teeth will feed the debris in there. Now, again, remember what I was telling you about having sand at the bottom of the pool, the concrete sand. I want to say the Seagull Pro probably did about a 92% job on sucking all that stuff up. It did a pretty good job, not perfect. The Pentair corded one that I've had, I'd run that one cycle. There was never sand at the bottom. This one here, it was struggling a little bit. But I've been talking with Aiper about that, and it may not be the unit's fault. It may be something else, and we'll get to that in a moment. All right, so that's that. Leaving water behind. That's the Seagull Pro. The power is totally different. Like I mentioned, the power adapter is over here, and it's just a little spot there. I have the brick hiding in the back here. Bear with me, and I'll get it for you. This is the difference between the brick. So this is the brick for the Seagull. Okay, it's a bigger brick, longer. The brick again, if you take a look at this is the brick now for the Scuba. It's completely different. Okay, different connection, almost like a PlayStation controller, or not controller, system connector there. All right, so they're different. Again, really, really heavy. Just a word of advice, make sure you always close the port, the charging port, when you run it in the pool. Otherwise, you can risk damaging the unit itself. All right, so going back to the port again, the port on the Scuba is completely different. Okay, I kind of like the blue color. It kind of stands out. This one here is just black. It is what it is. But again, make sure it's firmly sealed so that we're not getting water into the electrical connection. We talked about this. I'm not a big fan of the selector on the Scuba. Kind of pumped about the one button touch. Away we go on the, sorry, this is the Seagull. Not a fan of the selector on the Seagull. The Scuba, I'm looking forward to the one touch button. All right. What else can I tell you about them? Well, you can see physically the difference in size. And you can see it's yelling at me now because I moved the selector in different spots and it's not happy about it. All right, so I pulled out some of the printouts because I wanted to see if the website gave us a really good comparison between both of these models, and I wasn't able to find one where it did it. This would compare it with the other Seagulls, but they wouldn't do a really good job of comparing it with the Scubas. So I wanted to pull some stuff out here. Now, both of these units are recommended for in-ground pools, okay? And for in-ground pools up to 1,600 square feet, which my pool gladly falls within that limit, so we're okay from there. Types of pools that it will work in: concrete, fiberglass, vinyl, and tiles. So pretty much any type of pool out there, it's going to work with. We talk about drainage release. I talk about that a lot of times. People ask questions on Amazon, you know, how do you pull it out of the water? Well, if you pull it out slowly, the water will quickly drain as you're pulling it with the pole. So by the time you get it out of the pool, it's not heavy. This one here comes with a solar charging option. I didn't see anything for Seagull on that. And I'd be interested to see how that all works, but I'm going to need some more time on that. It says this one here has 2 drive motors and 1 brushless filtration motor. Okay, so that's interesting to note. Suction's the same. So this one's saying 70 gallons per minute. In terms of water, looking at the Seagull, I don't know if it really gave me that detail. It's kind of strange. It's kind of, they're lacking on info on this, and I'm wondering why. And I'll leave that to Aiper to kind of let us know all about that. But 70 gallons per minute. The filtration spec. So this is where my concern is for both of these models. Okay, so basically the sand, the filtration, the thin stuff that can get through the basket. The Pentair Prowler one that I had both types of filters. These ones have a very similar stage 1 filter. I'm hoping that, like I said, this will collect the sand more than this one did. But the jury's out. We'll know when I give it a couple of goes. The Scuba, I think S1 Pro, could be wrong, but the S1 Pro actually has that micro filtration basket. So that's completely different. Okay, that one is for bigger pools. It's quite it's probably similar size to this, but in this track configuration. All right, so from there we've got the filter basket. A battery life up to 150 minutes on this, which is fantastic. Normal charging time 3 to 4 hours. Okay, and so that's normal. That's both of them the same. There's different modes. There's floor mode, wall mode, automatic, and periodic. So I'm going to have to take a look at the manual that they gave us in this envelope that I just kind of tossed to the side. And I'll read about, because there's only one button, I want to know how that's going to all work. Whereas on this one, the selector would differentiate between them. All right, so we've got the retrieval hook, DC charger, Scuba S1. Okay, and then we got the specs for that. Now, this one here, and I have to mention this, I believe has an older version of their wave path technology. This one they say is the 2.0 wave path, which I'm assuming is going to do a better job and mapping out the pool than this one did. And so we'll see what happens when I do a test. But the cool thing is, both of these are really affordable. And for the dollars that you're going to spend on a pool cleaner, if the battery lasts, a couple of years without replacement, I think that's a win-win. If the battery runs into issues, which we won't know right away, then that's where it's going to be a deal breaker for some people, right? So let's talk about this really quickly. Why I have the Scuba and why I have the Seagull. I bought the Seagull right away. First thing I bought because I needed the pool cleaner, as mentioned. why I have the Scuba instead of the Seagull now, or why I have both temporarily. The Seagull was getting stuck in my pool. Wondering how, right? Well, in my Amazon review, I mentioned that the Seagull wasn't able to climb over wrinkles in my liner. That's my problem. That's a me issue. I mentioned it in the review. Aiper was really upset about the fact that, you know, I was having a bad experience. But it's no fault of their own. It's more of a me issue. So here's the deal. You need to know your pool. If your pool has wrinkles like mine, and that's due to age, bad installation of the liner, I can go on and on about it. If you do have wrinkles in your pool, I highly recommend stay away from the Seagull. And it's only because I've had the experience. Aiper spent hours going back and forth with me, talking about tech, talking about dimensions, and all this really cool stuff. And Aiper assured me that the Scuba is not going to have trouble with the wrinkles because it's got, I think, a 4 centimeter clearance. Okay? Which I'm assuming is going to be fine because, like I said, the Pentair one that I had a track system. Didn't have the wheels, had a track system, and it just ate over those wrinkles. Those wrinkles haven't changed in a couple of years. So I'm really excited to see the Scuba just tear it up. Just go in, well, not literally tear it up, I don't need holes in the liner. But I'm looking forward to it just going over it like a tank, getting to where it needs to get to, and not wasting 10-15 minutes getting stuck. That's what was happening with the Seagull Pro. I took the Seagull Pro to a friend of mine. Their pool, no wrinkles. Perfect. This thing, amazing. Cleaned the pool in 3 hours, just under 3 hours. Immaculate. An amazing job done. But obviously, for me, I'm not changing the liner anytime soon because they're expensive. This wasn't going to work. So between Aiper and I, we've come up with this solution. We're going to give this a go, and they want a full review on how this one works with the wrinkles in the pool because they're a company that's focused on building and growing. And the feedback that I provide them will allow them to maybe look at designs and maybe change things up, maybe add more clearance. I'm not sure what they want to do. But I'm willing to give them my time because I've never seen a company, and this is an honest truth here, I've never seen a company that was so invested in my experience. They could have just returned this product if I wasn't happy and call it a day. But they really wanted to see me happy, and I will let them know fairly soon how this works. Alright? But anyway, that's it for this video. I want to thank you very much for watching it, and I will give you as much information as I can. Please put some comments in there, ask any questions you want, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Alright? Thank you very much. Have a great day.